non-bailable charges filed. But Seer comfortably placed in Mutt. Mutt backs Seer, cries conspiracy.
ಕೂಡ ನಾವುಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಜನಾಂಗದವರಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವರ್ಗದವರಿಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿ ಸಮುದಾಯವನ್ನು ಮೊದಲು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು
Politicians throw weight behind Seer. Will law let men of God walk free?
Every year in this country, godmen, men of God, clerics, what have you, priests, are given the long rope of the law after they are accused of heinous crimes. In this particular case, we're talking about child rape, and it's been 5 days since those allegations were leveled and an FIR was registered. And Shivamurthy Muruga Sharanaru, the Mutt seer of Chitradurga, has still not been arrested. Forget about questioned. He's not even been questioned. That's the long rope that these people enjoy. And add to it the fact that there are elections coming in Karnataka, and that is the shame. I'm going to ask more questions on this here on 5 Live. These are the headlines. Ganesh Chaturthi being celebrated at Hubli Idgah ground after a late night nod from the Karnataka High Court. Muslim side likely to move Supreme Court against festivities. Hindu Sene puts up Savarkar posters at the Pandal. Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Saxena to sue Aam Aadmi Party Neta Atishi Marlena, Saurabh Bhardwaj and Durgesh Pathak. LG accuses them of levelling false and fabricated allegations of corruption against him. Aam Aadmi Party had accused the LG of a 1,400 crore rupee khadi scam. Telangana Chief Minister KCR in Bihar meets Nitish Kumar and his deputy Tejasvi, 2 netas to discuss politics and opposition unity ahead of 2024 polls. It's a mini Mahagathbandhan formal. Massive clamour for justice to Jharkhand minor Ankita burnt alive by stalker Shahrukh. BJP claims role of Islamist PFI. Child rights body demands addition of POCSO sections. Actor Jacqueline Fernandez summoned by Delhi court and Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing for her alleged role in the 200 crore rupee extortion racket being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate. Viewer, what could be more shameful than the fact that it's been over 120 hours since allegations of child rape were levelled against the Muruga Mutt Chief Pontiff Shivamurthy Muruga Sharanaru. He's a well-regarded, politically influential and highly popular religious godman in Karnataka 9 months before elections in the state. And those circumstances have meant that for 5 days after 2 children have levelled allegations of rape against this man, he hasn't even been questioned by the police, forget about detained or arrested. He's been booked under the POCSO Act, which is non-bailable, and the SC/ST Act for allegedly raping 2 minors, 15 and 16 years old. POCSO is a non-bailable offence, which means the police has no choice. They've got to arrest him. But evidently, not someone who is a mighty man of God, and that too belonging to an influential community that has a great bearing in the upcoming elections of Karnataka. Digest that for a moment, viewer. Child rape is nothing in front of electoral politics. Instead of condemnation, the Mutt seer has got direct and indirect support from political heavyweights across the political spectrum. Of course, nobody is guilty until they're proven guilty, sure. But under Indian law provisions, this man should have been arrested the day he was booked by the police, because the POCSO Act applies and the police has no choice but to arrest him immediately. They have no choice. They can't give him this long rope. What they're doing is a brazen subversion of justice. Here's a report on the latest. Remember, 120 hours, child rape allegations, and he hasn't even been questioned. Forget about arrested.
It has been over 118 hours since a rape case was lodged against him. But the Lingayat Mutt seer Shivamurti Muruga Sharanaru still roams free. The police paid another visit to the Mutt on Wednesday but did not take the seer into custody. The pontiff is accused of raping 2 minor girls, that's right, child rape, of 2 minor girls staying at the school hostel attached to the Mutt. Shivamurti is booked under the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act or POCSO, a non-bailable offence. The seer has claimed the rape case is a conspiracy against him. With elections in view, political leaders and other seers have rallied behind Shivamurti. Union Minister Prahlad Joshi and former Karnataka Chief Minister and BJP MLA Jagdish Shettar are the latest to come out in his support.
Arresting, non-arresting is not an issue. The investigation should be proper. I hope the Karnataka government and Karnataka police are doing the proper investigation.
Swamiji already expressed that is some vested interest. These all false allegations have been made. He is cooperating for the investigation and in the legal process, what investigation going on, it is going on. And law will take its own course.
The lone voice demanding action against the Lingayat Seer is BJP MLC H. Vishwanath.
Why do you think the BJP has not instructed the police to act and arrest him?
I don't know, because the ruling party has to pay for it in the next elections. The people of Karnataka are watching.
You're part of the BJP, sir.
Maybe I may be the part of the BJP, but I am for the law of the land. I am for the harassment against these minor girls.
Right.
I am for the protection of those,
A counter complaint has been filed against former JDS MLA and former Muruga Mutt administrator S.K. Basavarajan by Rashmi, warden of the Mutt. The second FIR charges the former administrator with rape and kidnapping. The complainant warden is also an accused in the original POCSO case against the Mutt pontiff. Elections in the state are scheduled next year, and no political party wants to offend the powerful Lingayat community. But it surely exposes the insensitive, even cowardly netas who are fine with doing politics even on a child rape case. With Sagai Raj in Chitradurga, Karnataka, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's go straight across to India Today. Sagai Raj live from Chitradurga in Karnataka. This is where that very influential Mutt seer lives and operates from. He hasn't been questioned by the police, forget about arrested. Sagai, 5 days since the allegations of child rape, 2 minors, one of them 15 years old, one of them 16 years old. 5 days since the FIR was registered and this Mutt seer, Shivamurti Sharanaru, was booked. Is the police planning to arrest him at all?
See, when you see this particular Mutt, everything remains the same, and the police are just a security guard over here who is taking care of the butt. Nobody is coming here to question him or summon him or issue a notice to him. Everything remains the same, and he is also the alleged accused. The Shivamurti Swami is also staying like how he used to stay much before this particular FIR was registered in Mysuru. Politicians come and meet him, former IPS officers come and meet him, and many influential people come and meet him. But still, nothing has been done when it comes to this particular case. Even the statement has been recorded under CRPC 164. And the CRPC 164 is very serious in nature, because once it has been recorded in that particular sections, the next 1 hour or 2 hours, they have to go ahead and question the alleged accused in this POCSO case. But so far, nothing has happened, and today is a government holiday. And remember, tomorrow his anticipated bail plea will be heard in Chitradurga court. Whether the police is giving more time for him to get away from this particular case is a big question asked by the people, because so far no arrest, and tomorrow the anticipated bail will be heard.
Anticipatory bail hearing is the priority, but arresting a seer on charges of child rape is not a priority despite the provisions being non-bailable. That is the kind of privilege that godmen in this country enjoy. And when you bring in the element of a looming election, well, that gets multiplied by many, many times. Thank you very much, Sagai. The police there, very telling comment from our reporter on the ground outside the Mutt saying the police are basically just security guards there. They're not even planning to arrest him right now. I told you about the political angle here. The Lingayat community is the dominant caste community in Karnataka to which this particular seer belongs. He's part of the religious order of that community. Now, Lingayats are the largest community, one of the largest communities in Karnataka, not the largest by percentage. They form about 17% of the population in Karnataka. The current chief minister, the former chief minister, both are Lingayats. Mr. Bommai, Mr. Yediyurappa are both Lingayats. The Lingayat Mutt in Chitradurga is a very influential institution in politics. That's the reason why, you know, from Amit Shah to Rahul Gandhi to other politicians, they all flock there to seek the blessings because those images are very influential to the Lingayat voter base. Lingayats can determine the outcome of elections as they have done in the past. The community has a presence in 22 districts of Karnataka. There are 500 Lingayat Mutts, including the one in Chitradurga, across the northern part of Karnataka. So 17% of the population, very, very politically influential, and a voter base that can swing elections one way or the other. And that's the reason why we're calling it coward Nataka. Netas have either been vague or soft or totally supportive of this Mutt seer despite child rape allegations. They've gone soft on him. B.S. Yediyurappa, one of the tallest Lingayat leaders, former chief minister, he calls the rape charge a conspiracy. K.S. Ishwarappa, former Karnataka deputy chief minister, says the rape case is false. D.K. Shivakumar of the Congress party, the opposition Congress party, and state Congress president, calls the accused seer a noble man, has nothing to say about action needing to be taken against him. H.D. Kumaraswamy of the JDS, former Karnataka chief minister, calls rape case a sensitive matter. Just imagine that, viewer, for a moment. Imagine the family of the two children, the families of the two children, 15 years old, 16 years old, leveling rape charges against the Mutt seer. It's been 120 hours, 5 days since the allegations were leveled. You know, guilt or innocence will be established by a court after an investigation by the police. Let's leave that aside. But under the provisions of the law, the machinery of the state has no choice but to arrest this man, and they have not done so. And what is the alleged crime? Child rape. I'm going to repeat this again and again because I want you to digest what I'm saying and process what I'm saying. Child rape is a lower priority than political considerations with an approaching election. That is the reality of what's happening in Karnataka right now. Nabila Jamal has been looking at this story. She's also reported from Karnataka for many years and is aware of all the political twists and turns that politicians take at sensitive times like these. You know, Nabila, there is no excuse, there is no escape route, there is no political loophole, there is no legal loophole, there is no administrative crack through which either the police or the politicians can escape. It's been 5 days. The case that he's been booked under is of child rape, POCSO provisions, and he hasn't been arrested. What are you hearing? How is this even possible? Make sense of this for us, because the rest of India is wondering, how can this happen, Nabila?
We're spellbound ourselves, Shiv. If it was a commoner, 2 to 3 hours at max under the POCSO Act, he would have been arrested. It's a non-bailable offence. Yet we see the Mutt seer very comfortably seated at his Mutt. And what's shocking is that you have some of the netas flocking to the Mutt to show solidarity with him, let alone directing the police to actually act as per protocols of the law. You have the MLAs, Tima Reddy of the BJP, and then you had the most shocking, Jagdish Shettar, former Karnataka chief minister, very senior leader of the BJP, saying that Shiv Murthy, the accused seer, is cooperating with the investigation. How exactly is this cooperating with the investigation when he's seated in the Mutt while he's not been summoned? There's no medical tests that has been conducted on him, and not even far from arrest. We're just talking about the most basic parts of the investigation that has not been conducted. How is the Seer really cooperating with investigation? So this is, in a way, politicians trying to justify the crime even before basic investigation begins, casting doubts and aspersions on the intentions of those minor girls, which is totally against the law. Under the POCSO Act, all those people who support and cast aspersions on the victims can also be booked. But clearly, with the kind of political influence that the Seer holds here, it seems like it's acting as a proper protective cover shield for this man. And Shiv, let me tell you, Friday the FIR was registered on the POCSO Act. We're talking of 6 days. 6 days on today on Wednesday, and this man is out free. You had Rahul Gandhi recently coming and meeting him. He was given Diksha. He tried to, of course, appeal to the Lingayat community ahead of the elections just around the corner. Amit Shah in 2018 Karnataka elections, just before that, Amit Shah had met him. Mohan Bhagwat of the RSS has met the Lingayat community, appealed for them to strengthen Hinduism. So in every way, we're talking about the tallest of the tall leaders who know this Lingayat Seer very, very well, which it appears is giving this man some kind of immunity.
Of course, Rahul Gandhi will not say anything. The leadership of the BJP at the state and the center will not say anything. They've all met this man. But the fact is, nobody wants to take any chances. Thoda sa media mein thoda heat chalne do. But at the end of the day, we have an election to fight, and we cannot alienate or irritate the Lingayat community. Because I happen to think that the Lingayat community will be outraged by this. The Lingayat community are citizens of India. They are people like us. Why should anyone think that they would be offended by the law being used against someone like this? That is offensive to Lingayats. And I think one of the things that we need to look at very, very closely here is police action at a time of elections. Who is giving these instructions? You know, from Nabila, from the Congress to the BJP, you know, the Chief Minister Bommai has said, we will have to see what happens. Yeah. But one would have expected even the Congress to say something. Even they've said nothing. For them, the considerations are the same.
Failed. As the primary opposition in Karnataka, Shiv, Congress has miserably failed because as much as the BJP is trying to maintain loyalties with the Lingayat community, Congress trying very hard to win them over. There's a small section of the Lingayat community that's still indecisive. They don't know whether to vote for the Congress or the BJP this time. So it seems like the Congress trying everything to sort of rake in that part of the vote bank which still remains a little clueless on what to do. So Congress equally to blame here as much as we blame the BJP for not instructing the police. But let me tell you, the common sentiment of the common man there, by and large, in Chitradurga, they're out on the streets protesting against this so-called revered Lingayat Seer. Despite him holding that influence, it seems like the people of Chitradurga are seeing this clear and fair. They want his arrest. They want him to step down.
Nabila, thanks very much for that. And like I said, like I've been telling our viewers, in this country, the law has always been useless before men of God. There are so many instances of this kind of thing actually happening. This is only the latest. Shiv Aroor Muruga Sharanaru of the Chitradurga Mutt. The allegation is child rape. The booking of the crime happened on August the 26th. The status is no detention, no questioning, no arrest for the last 5 days and counting. So he's already been given a long rope, but he's only the latest in a long list of godmen from across religions who've received the same kind of treatment because they enjoy special privileges in this country. For example, Gurmeet Ram Rahim, remember him? Allegations of rape and murder in 2002. He was arrested 15 years later after his conviction. Bishop Franco Mulakal, remember him? He was accused of rape by a nun in June 2018. He was arrested 3 full months later. Of course, he was acquitted in 2022. The case is currently in appeal. Gulzar Ahmed Bhatt, also known as Gulzan Peer, he was accused of child rape of many children in his care. This was in 2013. He was acquitted, but the courts say the police ruined the prosecution because of his influence. Then you've got Asaram, who some people call Asaram Bapu. Allegation, rape. This was in 2013. Status, he was arrested 4 years later after conviction. Nobody touched him with a barge pole until then. Nityananda, the famous Nityananda, accused of rape, cheating, intimidation, many other things. This was back in 2010. He was arrested twice briefly, but of course in 2019 everyone knows he fled to an island off the South American coast called Kailasa sometime in 2019. So let's be very clear. This is truly a country for godmen, because the law suits them. When they commit their crimes, they may finally be convicted and arrested, but they've got a long time to chill. They've got a long time to lawyer up. They've got a long time till the law actually catches up with them. Will that happen in this case? We'll have to wait and see. Well, amidst the political bickering over the Chitradurga Mutt Seer, Karnataka is dealing, and this is something you won't see on other channels because they'll only be obsessed with the polarizing stuff. The heavy rains and floods, lakes overflowing in different parts of Karnataka. Vehicles are floating as roads have turned into rivers. Here's a ground report that India Today's Nagarjun sent us. Remember, as we show you the political upheaval and all these polarizing stories, this is what's happening to the common citizen.
The tech corridors of Bengaluru today has literally turned into a swimming pool. Behind me you can see the water logging, and this is after non-stop rain which poured into Bangalore city. But fortunately in the last 48 hours there was no rainfall, but still we see the water logging. The officials are unable to drain the water here in Bellandur area. You can see this is the tech corridor, all the tech giants which contribute to the GSDP of the city here and the state here. Look at the water, it's almost up to the mirror for the cars here. These are all big tech companies of the city of Bengaluru and Silicon Valley. They are the ones who come up with the biggest revenue, and today they are the ones who are facing heat from the rainfall here. But what has happened in Bengaluru city is in the last 48 hours, no rainfall, but the situation remains grim. But one may ask why. It's because the lakes which is surrounding in the Bellandur area, in and around Bellandur, HSR layout, Madiwala and Sarjapur, all of them are filled to the brim, and the water is not going back to the lakes, and the drains are completely full. And a lot has to be contributed to the how people have taken over the lake beds, and there is no water to go on to the to go on back to the lake. Let me try going on the skywalk, which I am right now here, and try talking to the people as to what they feel about the situation and the civic infrastructure which is crumbling. As I walk, you can see the buses wading through the water here. This is up to 1.5 feet, 2 feet easily, the water levels, and the traffic pileup has gone up to 1-2 kilometers. You can see this is Ganesh Chaturthi government holiday. Today itself there's so much traffic, and if it's a working day, one can only imagine up to how commuters must be facing the situation here. It would easily take up to 2 to 3 hours, just to get through the traffic as well. So I'm just climbing over the skywalk so that I can get you more voices and a bird's eye view of the situation right now in Bellandur area of Bengaluru city. You can see the skywalk is being constructed, and yet the state of affairs is quite bad here in Bengaluru city. From here, if I can ask my camera person to show you the bird's eye view of how the situation is right now. The traffic pileup.
And we've got some big breaking news coming in from the Chitradurga Mutt in Karnataka, where the chief pontiff has been accused of child rape. Girl students living in the Muruga Mutt have been moved out. Big development coming in. The chief pontiff has not been arrested yet. He's been accused of child rape 5 days ago. He's not been arrested. But the girls, the young girls, all minors, living at the Muruga Mutt in Chitradurga, Karnataka, have all been moved out. That's the latest that we're hearing right now. It is not clear where they are being moved to at this point of time, but they are apparently being moved out for their own safety. In the pictures, we can see the seer, Shivamurti Sharanaru, who is accused number 4 in the case, and accused number 4 in the case, Parma Shivaya, going inside the hostel. They will be holding a meeting at the Allama Prabhu conference inside the hostel. Apparently, the seer will be holding a meeting inside the hall with the entire management staff for the next plan of action. Shivamurthy is the main accused, and accused number 4 is another person. He's been seen going inside the girls' hostel in images that India Today currently has, and you're going to see them on your screen right now. No arrest, but the Mutt Seer, Shivamurthy Sharanaru, is seen going inside the hostel. He's been accused of rape 5 days ago, and he's been seen moving inside the hostel. The girls living at the Muruga Mutt hostel are being moved out at this point of time. We're going to try and get a live report from our man on the ground in just a moment and get you more details on what precisely is happening there. An unfolding situation where the girls inside the Muruga Mutt hostel are being moved out, and the seer who's been accused of child rape has been seen entering the hostel. What for, we don't know. There is some kind of conference with the entire management staff of the Mutt that has been organized to look at the next plan of action by the Mutt itself. But child rape is the big allegation on the table, and no arrest has taken place just yet. That's the latest that we're getting to you right now. Going to wait for a reporter on this big story. Sagai Raj from Chitradurga, Nagarjun Dwarkanath from Bengaluru will both be with me live. Is it possible that the seer is about to be arrested? Could he be moved out to some other place? We don't know just yet. No word, no official word certainly from Chitradurga Mutt yet. Neither from a spokesperson nor from the seer himself. All he has said is that it is a conspiracy against him and that he can be taken wherever, that he is not barring access to anybody. Pictures here of the hostel. First pictures, always exclusive on India Today as we track the story like nobody else. Tension building now about the possibility that the Mutt seer could be arrested. Remember, there have been protests in Chitradurga over inaction by the police and the ruling government over why, despite child rape allegations, no action has been taken. Not even questioning has happened of Shivamurthy Sharanaru. Girls living at the Muruga Mutt, meanwhile, have been moved out. And in these pictures, you can see the Mutt seer entering the hostel at this point of time. Seer apparently entering the hostel. The girl students have apparently been removed from the hostel at this point of time. Scant information coming. The only reason we're sticking to the story is because he hasn't been arrested just yet. Sagai Raj is finally through with us. Sagai, what's going on right now?
What we get to see in front of our eyes is that these children who were staying inside this girls' hostel inside Murgarajendra Swamy Mutt are being shifted to one of the Moraji Desai government hostels in Chitradurga. And what we also get to learn through our sources is that they have been shifted to ensure that there is a proper investigation, because this morning there was a merger which was being done inside the hostel. It is a crime place where there is a case and a counter case which has been registered both from the warden as well as the former administrator of POCSO. So in order to avoid any kind of hassle and any kind of trouble to the children who are staying in the hostel, all of them have been shifted to government hostel, and police will continue their investigation. And what we also see that immediately after the children were shifted, there was a meeting which was being called by the seer as well as the management of the entire Mutt, where all the management staff will be participating in this meeting, and they will be taking the next course of action, what should be done, if at all, if there is any arrest or any unavoidable things which can happen. You can see in the visuals that the seer still enjoys the same power what he used to have much before this POCSO case was been registered. Close to 5 days, no restriction, nothing on the seer. It still remains the main power center of this particular Mutt in Chitradurga.
Sagai, why are the girl students being removed from the hostel? Why is that happening?
Now, as I told you earlier, for investigation purpose, they have been shifted because that is the crime place. And there was merger which was being done earlier today by the police at the same place on a case which was been registered earlier. One with the Basuraj case today. On a few days back, when the survivors were also taken to the same place, to the hostel, to do merger. So every now and then police are visiting that particular crime place in order to avoid any kind of hassle and trouble to the children whoever is staying there. For investigation, all the children were shifted to the government hospital.
Stay with me. Nabila is also with me. Nabila, this is bizarre. 5 days after, the allegations of child rape against those two teenagers, minor teenagers, the girls are being, moved out of the hostel. Images show the seer apparently entering the hostel. What are you making of this?
We're so shocked to see that the seer is roaming about in the premises of that mutt, and not just is he at that inside his mutt alone, but he seems to be, or at least seemingly appears to be, moving around the hostel area where the girls have been residing for the last 6 days, ever since the FIR was filed. Now remember, Shiv, this case is not a days old. We're talking about allegations that have been made from the start of 2019. 3 years of sexual abuse and assault and rape is what the girls have claimed in the FIR. So for 3 years, they've managed to bear with this. If these allegations are true, then we're looking at these girls bearing with the atrocities for 3 long years, staying at that very hostel. And now, finally, when they've mustered the courage to come file a complaint, these girls are kept at that hostel despite the complaint being filed, while the accused seer is still living at that mutt, which is highly grossly a violation of the POCSO Act. In fact, the girls have finally, after much media pressure, it appears, and India Today has been on top of this story, highlighting the lapses in police investigation. Finally, we're looking at the police now acting and escorting those girls out of there. Let me remind you and our viewers here, those girls' parents, they've not been allowed to interact with their own children ever since the FIR was filed. That's the kind of protection these girls have given again from their own family members, but doesn't seem like the real protection against the accused here has been given to those girls, which is shocking. Police lapses right from the start to today, all exposed, but doesn't seem like they're deterred by any kind of pressure here from the media, of course. It appears that there's someone stopping this arrest at this point. We're not too sure who, but of course, looking at the political influence, it could be someone or multiple netas who are trying to stop this arrest from taking place.
One can only imagine, with the brazenness of what is unfolding before our eyes, one can only imagine, how much influence peddling is going on, in the background. How many people are turning the screws to keep people safe despite POCSO laws. Just imagine this. Child rape allegations. The charges have been filed. The seer has been booked. He's still not been arrested. He's not been questioned. He's actually roaming around. The girls in the mutt have all been moved out for the purposes of investigation to make it look like due process is being carried out. But the man accused of committing those alleged crimes is still walking free. Let's be very clear about that. You're innocent until proven guilty in the Indian judicial system, but under POCSO laws, you don't get to walk free after allegations of child rape. You have to be detained and questioned. That's the bare minimum that you will face if there are charges of child rape against you and if that case is registered. And yet, Shivamurthy Sharanaru continues to walk free 122 hours and counting. Pictures from just moments ago captured by India Today's Sagai Raj, who is right there at the Chitradurga Mutt. The hostel is being emptied. The girls are having to be moved out. But Shivamurthy Sharanaru, the Chitradurga Mutt pontiff, the chief pontiff, seer, he continues to be there. He continues to walk free. The police are on the perimeters of the Chitradurga Mutt. They haven't even entered. Forget about questioning him or even arresting him. Is there any possibility of an arrest, Nabila? Are you hearing about any possibility of an arrest, or is this, how long can the law just stretch this out? How long can the police stretch this out before they finally arrest him? What are they waiting for, really?
Shiv, they've well past their time. It's 6 days on, we're looking at failures in the whole protocol of an arrest of a man booked under POCSO. So they're at least 6 days late. There's no scope for any delay because these girls are minor girls. They could face threat from from all quarters, in fact. And looking at the influence he has, there could be immense pressure on these girls to take back the case. And that said, the police should have arrested him or detained him by now, only so that these girls, or he does not use his influence to pressurize these girls to withdraw the case. Very possible, because they're minors. Their parents are from a background not very privileged. They come from the SC/ST community, which is a scheduled caste, the scheduled tribe community. So we're looking at a backward class people there who are not very affluent within the society and are not affluent or influential, do not have that kind of money to back themselves, to have a lawyer or a counsel, etc. So pressure on them could very well mean that they would buckle. They could buckle, and that's the reason why the police should act with immediate effect. There's no sign of arrest, Shiv. Let me tell you, all the leaders who've spoken to India Today so far have only stuck to the point that he's innocent. It's a grave charge. It's a sensitive matter. Investigations should take place. He's cooperating. The height was one of the leaders saying that he's cooperating with investigation. How is he cooperating if he's still in the mutt? It's above us to even imagine that this man is cooperating by any means, because he's holding press conferences. Other seers are going and meeting him. The man is sitting very comfortably. If you just see the visual there, Shiv, I'd like you to take a note of that shot where the seer is just walking into the mutt. You see how people are falling down to their feet. Well, that's the norm and that's the tradition. Yes, all acceptable, but this man that you see there walking is the accused. He's accused under POCSO Act of rape and sexual assault on 2 minor girls, but yet he's receiving that kind of support and worship from his people. They're falling to their feet to obey to him as part of their ritual that they do regularly in the mutt. But the point is that the man still has that kind of impression among the people within his community and his mutt. He's untouched. Not as the police there, in fact, have been going in and out of the mutt multiple times, in and out of the hostel multiple times, but they've not decided to actually detain him so far. A medical test, why is it so important? Because we're talking about 3.5 years of alleged rape and sexual assault. By now, 6 days, if there's no medical test done, this could also alter the process of the investigation, Shiv. He must be taken for an immediate medical test and then be taken for questioning. That is basic.
Truly, truly shocking. Police nowhere in sight. Seer walking totally free. 123 hours and counting since child rape charges were filed. He's been booked for over 5 days now. He walks free inside the Chitradurga Mutt. The girls in the hostel have all been moved out. No action taken just yet. Incredible amount of influence. This is what godmen in an election-bound state enjoy. The law is a joke when it comes to such people. Clearly, we will keep a track of this story. India Today will not let our viewers down. This is a story we know has outraged you, and we will continue to keep you updated on that. And coming up next, as promised, India's focus on its most obnoxious citizens continues. And I'm going to put the spotlight on them, because even though some of them have got bail, which is their right, it is my right to keep the spotlight on these cowards. Bhavya Roy, Varun Nath, Dimpy Mahendru, Seema Patra. India is watching you. We will never forget you, and we will never let you forget the cowards that you are.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
आपका नाम क्या है दीदी?
What's common among these four obnoxious Indians is that they've all been booked. They're all cowards, they're all obnoxious, and they all treat those who are underprivileged and who work for them like gutter trash. They treat them like slaves. They have a sense of privilege. One of them slaps security guards, the other slaps a tower guard, one slaps a chowkidar with a cane, and the other has tortured and ill-treated her domestic help for the last 8 years, brutalizing her for life. All of these underprivileged persons are traumatized thanks to these middle-class bullies who've decided they get to behave like master to a slave. These are India's obnoxious Indians: Bhavya Roy, Varun Nath, Dimpy Mahendru, Seema Patra. They will face the law, but we will not let India forget them, and we will not let them forget their crimes in this case. This is India's focus on its new breed of monsters. They've been around for a very, very long time, but it's only now that cameras have captured them in the act and social media has ensured that they cannot get away. Those who abuse, batter and ill-treat people poorer than themselves, more underprivileged than themselves. First we saw the coward lawyer Bhavya Roy of Noida, who hurled filthy abuses at her society guards and battered them for opening the gate late, for delaying the opening of the society gates. Remember this? A Gurugram high-rise resident Varun Nath, some kind of a businessman who was infuriated after his lift was stuck and started abusing and beating up his tower guard and the lift operator. This coward was arrested but granted bail, as is his right, very shortly after. All of this for being stuck in the lift for 3 to 4 minutes. This is how this cowardly bully acted. He's a resident of the close north Nirvana country, Sector 50 in Gurugram. If you know him, call him a coward to his face. Then a video emerged from Agra, where this so-called animal rights activist, Dimpy Mahendru, thrashed a residential society security guard for allegedly shooing away and not feeding stray dogs. Who the hell does she think she is, wielding a danda and beating another human being? Is he her slave? Dimpy Mahendru, India knows your face. You will never be forgotten. And finally, this disgusting bully and coward BJP leader Seema Patra, who kept a specially abled tribal woman working for her as her domestic help, enslaved, tortured, brutalized and locked up for nearly a decade. Seema Patra beat up this hapless woman regularly, and branded her body allegedly with a hot iron. Patra also beat up this woman with rolling pins and ladles, according to young Sunita. All she wants to do is pick up the pieces of her brutalized life, study some more and get on with it. This is what Seema Patra has done.
आपका नाम क्या है दीदी?
मेरा नाम सुनीता कुमारी है।
कहाँ आपका नाम?
Let's first go to Satyajit Kumar live with me from Ranchi on the story involving Seema Patra. Satyajit, Seema finally arrested a day after she was suspended by the BJP. What action does she face in this case?
Look, Shiv, she has been already arrested and she has been booked under different sections of IPC. I'll tell you 323, 325, 346, 374 and different sections of IPC. And she has also been booked under SC/ST Act 1989. She has already been booked, but she says that she is not guilty. She does not seem to have brooked any defiance, and she says this is a political vendetta. She has been booked and there is no sense of repentance, and she says that this has been done with a vindictive attitude. But the alarm was raised by his own son Ayushman Patra. He enjoyed a very good relationship with Vivek Baske, who is an employee with Jharkhand Sachivalaya. And calling his friend Vivek, he said that please do something for the household help Sunita, because she is being subjected to torture and humiliation by her own mother. And then Vivek thought that Vivek was told by Seema Patra that Ayushman is having some psychic problems. He'll need to be consulted with a psychiatrist. But some good sense prevailed in Vivek, and he thought that he should try to verify. When he verified, he got to know that Sunita is really.
You know,
being
Satyajit,
tortured,
I would commend the son of Seema Patra for what he did, because he has saved the life of this woman. You know, God knows what would have happened to her if he had not intervened and played Good Samaritan, because his conscience basically kicked in. Now I want to go from the Seema Patra case to Varun Nath, the other bully, the other coward from Gurugram who slapped the lift man and the tower guard. Amit is tracking that story. Amit, Varun Nath arrested thanks to CCTV, social media pressure. Obviously, he's gotten bail as well. What charges does he face? Is he in any trouble?
Well, absolutely right, Shiv. You know, Varun Nath reeks of privilege. That is the least we can say. And we have seen in the CCTV footage, as well as the social media uproar over the conduct of Varun Nath, where he actually beat up the security guards and the liftmen who helped him out, who took him out of the lift where he was stuck. You know, and despite being rescued by these two brave laborers, workers who were actually working round the clock to help the residents of his society, they were beaten up. Now, the police action was quick in this particular case because there was a lot of anger and uproar on the social media, and also because of the fact that there was another incident which was recorded in Noida where similar, misbehavior and manhandling of security guard was registered. In this particular case, Shiv, the police had registered the FIR under the section of 323 and 506. However, because he had right to get bail, he was granted bail right at the police station and he was allowed to leave the police station. But the action was immediately taken against Varun Nath. We did try to reach out to him, but we are yet to listen to his side of the story. You know, we also had a list of questions from Varun Nath which still remains unanswered. But that footage itself, Shiv, talks a lot about his attitude and his approach in the entire context.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, Amit, except that I don't care about his side of the story. The very fact that he raised his hand and slapped that lift man means that his side of the story ceases to matter. Abhishek Mishra is live with me from Lucknow on Dimpy Mahendru, the so-called animal rights activist who picked up a danda and thrashed a security guard over the issue of stray dogs. What action has been taken against her, Abhishek, if any? Okay, we'll get back to Abhishek in just a moment. I want to play out this video a little bit. Let's put the sound up. Let our viewers watch it one more time. Let Dimpy ji become even more famous. What action has been taken against this coward Dimpy Mahendru? Abhishek, can you hear me? Okay, let's move on to the next story. Let's move on to now the person who came into the headlines and actually woke India up as far as this new breed of cowardly bullies is concerned, and that is lawyer Bhavya Roy. A couple of weeks ago, this is the video that made her famous. This coward got out of a car, started slapping and abusing in the filthiest language her colony's gate guards. Everybody remembers the filthy language. Everybody covered their ears and eyes when this horrible, horrible woman behaved in this manner. She was arrested. She's been out on bail. Shreya Chatterjee is live with me. Shreya, what kind of action has been taken against Bhavya Roy? She went to jail. She's out on bail, which is absolutely her right. She is a lawyer. She studied abroad, privileged. What action is being taken against her?
Well, Shiv, as you rightly pointed out, that Bhavya Roy, the lawyer, she was arrested. However, she is out on bail. Now, in all these cases, what we see in common is the IPC sections that is invoked, that is 323 and 506. And in these cases, as you also pointed out, that bail is something that is inevitable. However, what we probably need to look forward is stringent action, because some examples need to be set forward so that such incidents are not repeated. And at least in the case of Seema Patra, with ST and SC Act also coming into the picture, probably there will be an example so that future such cases are not repeated in the country.
Abhishek, Amit, thank you very much for joining me on this story. To all of our reporters, it is truly, truly distressing. And remember, as I always say, we will not let India forget these criminal bullies. The law will take its own course. Let the law take its own course. We will not play judge and jury here, but we have a right to comment on these societal crooks, these societal bullies, and the manner in which they treat the underprivileged. India is watching. They are India's most disgusting people. And forgive me if I'm using some strong language today, viewer, because I know you feel the same way as me. They slap, they abuse colony guards, they beat up liftmen and chowkidars, they thrash and torture their domestic helps, they pick up lathis and hit watchmen. In the last few days, these four stories have made the headlines. It began with this jerk named Bhavya Roy in Noida. Everyone remembers her face. Caught on camera thrashing and abusing gate guards. Then it was the other jerk called Varun Nath, who was caught on camera slapping his tower staff after he was stuck in a lift. Then it was this so-called animal rights activist who was caught caning a chowkidar for shooing away stray dogs in her society. And then finally, BJP leader Seema Patra, found to have been torturing and brutalizing her domestic help for years. These are just four monsters, viewer, unlucky enough to have been caught. But you and I both know that such pieces of, are all around us. They believe that people they employ are their slaves. They believe that it is totally okay to abuse or hit service staff in their gated colonies. They believe that the law doesn't apply to them because privilege has its benefits. Well, let's get a few things totally clear. These stories are a signal to all obnoxious Indians. Either mend your ways, become more human, or pray that there isn't a camera rolling or that your victims don't find a voice. Because for all the evils that the Indian middle class is totally still okay with, and there are many, let's be clear. If you're unlucky enough to be caught being a jerk, being a criminal bully with those who work to make your life easier, social media and the media will ensure you spend time in jail. But honestly, fear of social media should at least trigger the beginnings of introspection in people with a habit of talking down to their domestic helps and guards. You're not doing them a favor by employing them. They're doing an honest day's work, and they're equal citizens before the law. So the next time you even think of abusing or hitting someone like that, be warned. Bhavya, Varun, Dimpy and Seema will forever only be known as the pathetic cowards that they have proven to be. Don't become them. Please, let's be better people. And the celebrations of the 10-day Ganesh Chaturthi festival has started throughout the country today. That's Wednesday, with the coronavirus pandemic no longer casting as big a shadow on celebrations like the last 2 years. From Maharashtra, West Bengal to Karnataka, Ganesh Puja is being held in a grand manner this year. We wish all Indians in India and across the world a very happy, peaceful, harmonious Ganesh Chaturthi.